There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. I got to tell you, this is an international show today. And we're very happy to have everybody here. Rochelle, as always, sitting at the base of your mountains, you look marvelous. How are you?
Thank you, Kevin. As do you. I am very good. It is, it's just happy energy today, and I'm rolling with it. It didn't start that way, but I allowed it to still be that way. And the person that we have on, I'd love to introduce because she understands exactly what I mean by saying that. So today we have Sandra Delgado Quist. .com is her website. She is a
Homeopathy
and Reiki teacher. I don't know why that was so hard for me. But welcome, Sandra. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you both.
And before we begin, I want to, and I've said this many times on the show, but it bears repeating. I want everybody to know that energy is a real thing. We are all energetic beings in a physical body, and they work hand in hand together to make us who we are. Einstein proved it. Tesla proved it. A lot of people have said, oh, there's actually energy here. And so when we talk about natural healing and homeopathy and sound healing and Ayurvedic medicine and all of those things and some of the coaching that goes along with it, we all talk about the intertwinement of energy and your physical body, because if you're not aligned in all manners and all forms, then that can cause illness and sickness. And so if your energy is not flowing the way it's supposed to, it can hurt you, and that can lead to more stress, and it can lead to physical problems and all that kind of stuff. And Sandra is an expert in all of that, aren't you, my dear?
Well, I try to be. I'm kidding. I've been doing this for quite a long time, but of course I'm ever evolving and ever changing and always learning. So that's also good.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm very, very passionate about it because it's one of those things that I see it working, and I see it even in myself and then in other people. And how can you not be excited about something that's so natural?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I want to take you back into the mists of time, because there was a time when you were a little skeptical of all of this and were taking several medications that, pills that doctors said, here, take this, that'll help. Mm-hmm. And it never did. And so tell us a bit of your story, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. I grew up in San Antonio, in Texas, actually. And my grandmother used to take me to a curandera, which is like a healer. But at that time, it was like those, you had to know somebody who knew somebody to get you to the right person, because, it's all hush hush. You don't talk about these. And I was thinking, oh, Grandma, don't take me to, take me to a real doctor. But it always helped, although I was, you don't really want to believe that, because you're just kind of society and this is what you're supposed to do and go to the doctor. And as time progressed and I got older, I just went to the doctor because I had really bad allergies. And at one point taking like 4 medications, inhaler, eye drops, like you name it. Just if I didn't take it, my whole body was out of control. And through time, I just, I did get tired of it, but it was like, I just got used to it. But it was when I met my husband and we moved to the Middle East. And there I went to the hospital because I ran out of my medication. So I went there and they gave me the wrong medication. And I, of course, was feeling worse. Um, and then reluctantly, my mother-in-law is a retired homeopath. So that was actually how I was introduced to homeopathy, was through her. But I didn't really understand how homeopathy worked. So the first time I had, and this was like the first time I had met, this was before I was married, I'd had a remedy and it caused an aggravation because sometimes you have to go through like, sort of like a clearing out before. I didn't understand that. And I just thought, oh, this stuff does not work. I'm not even trying. I didn't try it again for a really long time until I got sick in the Middle East. And my husband's like, okay, just give her a try. La da 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 da. So I gave it a try a second time. And this time I felt it like that. Like there was no aggravation. It was just like instantly I felt better. And now, ideally when you have the right remedy, and this was an acute, it wasn't like a chronic kind of condition because this was at that moment, it was an acute. And it really, really helped. And I thought, okay, I didn't really want to admit it. Still didn't want it. I was so, just like, also because it's, you don't want to admit that your mother-in-law is right, even though I love her dearly. But anyway, so that helped. And then eventually, because we were there, I started setting up appointments for her to come and see all the expats there because they were wondering who, the doctor was that we used. And we said, I didn't go to the doctor. I saw my mother-in-law. And so that started me, my interest in natural medicine, really. And I only took a course, an introductory course in the beginning, just to understand what homeopathy was, because I was there and I couldn't work. I couldn't, I was a new mom, and I was going, pulling my hair because I used to work, and then suddenly of course, being a mom is also work, but it's a different kind of work. And so I started taking all these different courses, and homeopathy just really, even that first introductory year was so enlightening for me that I just continued for 4 more years to become a homeopath. So yeah. Anyway, that's it
And
in a nutshell.
And I would like to introduce you to my friend. Her name is Rochelle, and she has got allergies like no other. She's got other issues and stuff. So Rochelle, I would love for her to be able to, maybe give you a little bit of guidance as far as, because I really think that homeopathy could help your allergies. Because when she gets, well, you tell her.
Yeah. When I get allergies, I mean, it doesn't just shut down your breathing. It shuts down everything. It changes your mood. You can't see the same. It's embarrassing and horrible to try to deal with your day through that when you have to show your face, especially. But allergies and asthma are a huge thing. I'm not alone in that. So if you could share with us anything that was critical that you learned, that can also help everybody else.
Sure. So for me, because I had been taking so much and of course it's different for everybody, but in
Mhm.
my particular case, I had been taking medication for like, I would say at least 15 years. And the more medication you take, it's like, so I'll have to back up a little bit to explain the difference between homeopathy and regular allopathy. Maybe
Okay.
your audience might already know it, but I think it's a little helpful. Like, so when you go to the doctor, they give you like, so there are two different ways that Hippocrates originally said that you can heal. One is through the law of opposites, and the other one's through the law of similars. So opposites, the law of opposites is what the doctor actually does. So, and it works because they save lives. Like if you're bleeding, you need the bleeding to stop. If you're having a
Right.
heart attack, you're gonna need a puppy. So, but also for chronic illness, if you have depression, they give you an antidepressant, or if you have like inflammation, anti-inflammatory. So it's going against the body. And sometimes you need that in a really critical situation, you need that. But when it becomes a chronic, which is like an allergy, depending, in my case, I was taking it so long, we needed to go through all the layers and figure out, like, clean out the system, so to speak, and then
Mhm.
really, really find the individual symptoms that were unique to me. Like my eyelids would get purple because my eyes were so watery. But other people, as you said, really have it in their lungs. So I would, as you know, if I was working with you, for example, would try to figure out which symptoms, how long have you had it, which symptoms are bothering you the most, because it's usually the symptom that's bothering you the most. It's screaming, like, you know, look at me here, because what the body's doing, every single symptom that your body is producing is a way of itself trying to like balance itself and clear itself out. So when you have a whole bunch, you're trying to look at the symptom that's screaming the loudest and like, okay, this is obviously what we need to pay attention to. And so we go through there and identify the different symptoms and try to clear out the worst, you know. But the other thing is like, so for example, sometimes it's a watery symptom, so we're looking for a watery remedy, or sometimes your symptoms are dry, so we're looking for a dry remedy. And there's all these different things in nature that can be used, but it doesn't just look at the physical side, it's looking at your emotional side. So like if, for example, you had all these watery symptoms, like your nose is dripping, your eyes are dripping, you're coughing up some phlegm, and then you become weepy emotionally, like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. And so you see this picture of a very watery person, or it could be a very heated person that's like, you know, oh, I can't take it, I'm frustrated. And, you know, like, so we're looking at the mind and the body, not just the physical symptoms, but how are you responding to how you're feeling? And that's a really big key to finding the right remedy for you.
Okay, I have to ask you then, what about when it comes to pain? Is it the same way with evaluating the body and all that stuff?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the same thing, because pain is usually like, okay, sometimes it's an injury and you hit yourself, but other times when it's like there are people who will go to the doctor and they're like, oh, I have pain right here and I have pain. And the doctor will examine, take an x-ray, whatever, and you can't really, they don't see anything. But that's usually because energetic kind of thing. You know, like there's all these somatic therapies where, you know, pain in your knees, you know, like it's having to do with support, or, you know, an ear, something you don't like, something wrong with your ears, something you don't want to hear. So all these different things that happen energetically, but also have this sort of reason behind it. And I'm not familiar with all of the somatic therapy in the body, but I know that it exists, and I would look it up, for example, when when I'm working with. But yeah, it's quite interesting with pain, because a lot of that is, it can be a stuck emotion, you know, like you can like, have you ever had an instance where you became so angry at something, whether it's in the middle of traffic or somebody really upset you, and you could feel the tension in your neck, or, you know, like some people get, their neck gets all red. Like I've had people sitting right there when I'm asking them questions and they don't want to answer. It's all red. You can see where the energy is, and when they don't really, it's good to have, like, if you're angry, it's good to let it out in a you know, normal way, or if you're having emotion, want to cry, it's better to let it out in a very, you know, because if you hold it in, you become like this volcano, and then suddenly you explode, or it's stuck in the body and it's pain in the body, you know.
100%.
Well,
100%.
not that Rochelle ever experiences anger. She's, you know, but and we all do that from time to time. By the way, if you're listening to this right now and you want to comment in, you can comment in the chat, and we can bring those comments up and have, if you've got a question for Sandra, or if you want to just say, "Hi, Mom, how you doing?" or something like that, you can do that. And we need to go on our first break, but I have to tell you that I really want Rochelle, because she's got challenges, and I really want you to be able to work with her to get some of those things fixed, because it's really, I can only imagine, Rochelle, how hard it is when you're trying to do a show like this and you've got allergies and you've got stuff dripping down your face and all that kind of good stuff. It makes it very difficult.
Oh yeah, it gets a lot worse than that. You have oh man. Well, we'll talk about it when we come back, because it's not just me. There's so many others that they've told us, Sandra, for so long that it's normal. So I want to evaluate it.
And we are talking with Sandra Quist, and she is the CEO and head bottle washer of the Hague Natural Health Centre. And by the way, and a little bit later in the show, we're going to talk about how you can work with her, and you don't even have to go to the Hague. Although Netherlands, I understand, is a wonderful place to go visit.
It's very cool.
Exactly. And we'll be right back in just 43 seconds. Everybody stay with us, please. Here is another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. The world is full of people who would die for someone they love. But what about living for them? Waking up early to take care of your health. Letting go of the habits that steal your years. Choosing rest instead of running yourself empty. The truth is, your family doesn't want a hero who dies for them. They want a parent who stays, a friend who grows old with them, a soul who chooses life every single day. Don't just die for love, live for it. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and Rochelle is right there, and Sandra Quist is with us, and she is a homeopathy person, and that's not how you say that, by the way. But she has a facility in the Netherlands, but she's got a whole group of people who will do a whole bunch of different things, don't you?
Yes, I'm very happy about that too, because I can't be the expert in everything.
Well, nobody's the expert in everything. We all have got some good things and stuff like that. But it's really exciting because the work that you do. Explain the differences between homeopathy and other things, because as we were talking before the show began, that you kind of tailor the remedies to the individual based upon what their needs and what their energy is like and their symptoms are like, so that you create something that is specific to them. Is that right?
Exactly. And I mean, I can give you a few different ways, because it's also depends on how the person likes to work. Like some people, for example, wouldn't like needles, so they probably would not go see an acupuncturist, even though acupuncture is really, really effective and, works really, really well. But some people, and I actually didn't like needles, but I'm one of those explorers, so I'm always trying things out. And I really find that it works really, really well. And I really love it. But it's based on the meridians of under Chinese medicine. And so what they're trying to do is actually, like, for example, in your case, if you have like something with the lungs, with asthma, and so they're looking for the lung meridian and trying to open up the flow so that you don't feel so congested or whatever feeling and sensation that you're experiencing. They would be working with the needles to open up the pathways called the meridians in your body to actually encourage the flow, and so that there's no stuckness. Whereas, for example, the Ayurvedic practitioner would look at you and be like, okay, asking you all these questions about, are you feeling hot, or are you feeling, cold, or like, and also like, what are the fluids in your body? Do you get enough water, or are you, like, are you constipated, or all of these different things to try to figure out. They put you into 3 different categories, and throughout our life, we're going into a different dosha. They're called doshas. And then those are actually based on all the different foods that your body needs, in order to digest properly and in order to function, basically. And then the nutritionist, of course, looks at everything you're putting into your body and how it's affecting it as well. Whereas the Reiki person would just feel their way through the body. And for example, if you have some, heaviness in the chest, they would just focus with their hands on the chest area to try to open up so that you can breathe better. And then the homeopath, coming back to that, would be asking questions about, maybe even from your childhood, like when did that start, or when did these symptoms start? Because usually there's always a starting point, and oftentimes it's in your childhood. Maybe something, I don't know, maybe you had eczema, because a lot of times eczema, we use all of these steroid creams, and it pushes what the body's trying to, cleanse itself through the skin, and then, we're so vain, we don't want to see this stuff on your skin, so you push it in with a steroid cream, and then that has to go somewhere. So it's like, if you can envision your body like this river, and it's flowing and it's flowing, and then whenever you put some medication or something that interrupts the natural flow, it has to go somewhere else. So it'll manifest somewhere else, and usually skin and the lungs are related. And that's not always the case, but sometimes it is. Sometimes when small children had suppressed eczema, then it causes a little bit blockage somewhere, and usually it's in the lung.
What do you do if, like, as an example, when you are young and you're around a lot of heavy metals and a lot of things that should not be in and around your body, and you grow up with that, and you begin to have these symptoms of issues because of, now it's in your liver and it's in your kidneys, and it's because of the environment that we are living in, which I don't know if you know, but it's a little toxic from time to time. And also, depending upon your mother's health when you were born, and the things that she was going through, if she was using drugs or a lot of alcohol and that kind of stuff. Are you able to help people get through those things with, like, if they develop fibromyalgia or they have autoimmune issues and stuff like that? Are you able to help them holistically rather than, here, take this pill?
Yes, definitely. And that's why I like having a center, because we work truly together as a team to try to support each other. So, for example, I could give a remedy to support the lungs, the liver, so we could detox to help support it. Because if it's stuck in all this, toxins that are in the body, the liver is going to need a little bit of extra support. So we would give some remedies that support the liver. But you could also, if the people, like if they're seeing the acupuncturist also can provide some herbs that can do the same. So at home, gives it energetically. Sometimes the body really just needs to flush it through physically as well as energetically. So you would need both, a little bit of both. And the nutrition part of it is really, really, you would have to go through like a clean diet for some time to try to clean the system. But energetically and physically, you could definitely support the body to detox some of those toxins that are stuck.
And Rochelle, tell her about some of the nutritional changes that you are in the middle of making now. But before we do that, I want you to introduce our friend from Kenya. Could you do that for me, please?
Of course. Hello, Samuel. He says, greetings, my elder brother and my sister from another mother, Rochelle, and our guest, Sandra Quist. Receive greetings from Kibera slums in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for this favorite inspirational program, Positive Talk Radio show. Kibera is tuned in with my team as we prepare for tomorrow, Saturday, weekly feeding program. God bless you, Brother Kevin and Sister Rochelle, for hosting this favorite program, Positive Talk Radio. And thank you for being here, Samuel. We are so excited for you to get through another Saturday. I will be there on the live to chat with you. And it's amazing to be able to just do these things, have these conversations, help people all over the world in an hour. You're in the Netherlands. He's in Kenya. Me and Kevin are in Utah and Seattle. So it's a pretty little world we live in here. And we can get to see that.
And I love the concept, Rochelle, because as we continue to go on, we are discovering, or many people are now discovering, that the world is a lot smaller of a place, and that we can look at it without borders, and that we are all connected in very unique and specific ways. And so we can do this now. We can have a conversation with Seattle and Utah and the Netherlands and Kenya. and we can, and Sandra, just so you know, there are 20 or 30 people in a room in Kenya watching this show at midnight their time as they get ready to feed 370 kids and their parents tomorrow.
Oh my God. Wow. Hi, everybody. That's amazing. Beautiful. How great that you inspire them to just
Oh
sit
yes,
there
we
and
love them.
positive
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
visit
Oh,
my
and
Facebook page. You can see all the cute pictures of the kids.
Oh, I will go and
Sandra,
I will.
I've got to tell you, I saw some of the pictures that Rochelle's talking about, and they went to a theme park, and they got to go into a pool, and there was a bouncy thing, and there was this, and the kids had never, if you can imagine this, the kids had never been to a place like that, and they
Oh, wow.
were wide-eyed as they were traveling there, because the slums that we're talking about in Kenya have 1.5 million people in them, and that some of these kids have never been anywhere else.
Wow.
And Samuel's story is really unique as well, because he was a street kid and was just trying to survive on the streets, and now he's a little older, and he's a lot younger than me, but he's a little older, and he's been able to make that transition to be a man of service, and is helping his kids and all of the people, just like you're doing with the work that you do with the Hague, is you are helping people live a better life, both holistically and totally, which is body, mind, and spirit. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. Body, mind, and spirit. They're not separate.
Yep. And I want to even ask you, before we take the break and we dive more into all the nitty gritty, do you have maybe a story or two that you'd like to share of a review you got from somebody that they told you, like, working with you seriously changed my life, and how it helped them?
One of the first ones, my early, when I was doing my supervision work with homeopathy, I had a colleague, because I was working simultaneously at the time studying,
Mhm.
and had a colleague that slipped in her high heels and fell. But when she fell, like it was in the ice, and she slid and she landed literally on the back of her head. And she's one of those, like, go 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 go, and just kept going, and just continued going. She went into work, but then she started feeling nauseous and feeling dizzy, and she says, oh, I just hit my head. So that, of course, she went home, but then it kept getting worse. And so she went to the hospital, and they x-rayed. They didn't see anything. They just gave her some aspirin and said, go home, it'll get better, it's probably just a bump in the head. And she continued to deteriorate. So and she was a skeptic, I have to say, because she's given me some reviews online, a couple of them, because she kept going back, because she was having memory loss and brain fog and all of these different symptoms in the head. And finally, I went over just to check on her, because I didn't realize she was even out. And I went over to her place, and of course, I didn't have any of my remedies. I just went over, but I had my hands, and Reiki is really, really powerful, and energy work is really powerful. So I just gave her a bit of Reiki for maybe half hour, 45 minutes. And she was like, oh my God, what did you just do? And because she never had an energy treatment. And sometimes when people don't have, and suddenly they have this burst of energy, they're like, what just happened? Okay, I'm going to come to you. And so I combined the homeopathy and the Reiki for her, because she was getting nowhere, and she just kept deteriorating, and she was really falling into a sort of depression, because it had been like 2 or 3 months now since she'd been out of work. So I gave her this remedy called hypericum, and most people know that as St. John's wort, but this is an energetic form of that particular remedy. So it's not like the pill for St. John's wort, it's actually an energy homeopathic remedy. And that is a really, really powerful remedy to heal any sort of nerve injury. we're talking anything, especially in the head for head injuries. But like if you pull a tooth, like if you think about your mouth is full of all of these nerves, or your hands and your fingers and your toes have a lot of nerve endings. Any sort of nerve injury, this remedy is excellent for repairing it. It works it's so powerful. I can't even, anyway, long story short, with particular woman, she went back to work, and she has come regularly ever since, just for regular maintenance now, because the doctors couldn't help her with anything, and this particular, just the small little remedy and Reiki helped her get back to work. So that was a powerful one.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And by the way, we are talking with Sandra Quist. If we wanted to go to her website, Rochelle, where do we go?
Yes, visit sandradelgadoquist.com. She has her about her, the homeopathy Reiki option to book an appointment, and some workshops. So stay with us. We'll be back.
And we will be right back. And there's also, we want to promote the other website, which is the Hague one as well. Do you have that one pulled up?
Yeah, that one is the Hague Natural Health Center.com, and that center, the end is RE. Visit that one as well if you have any questions.
And when we come back, Sandra, I want to ask you, because Reiki is an energetic medicine. Can you do Reiki and not even be in the same room? I know that's going to twist some noodles in our audience, but I want to go there because it's a very, very important aspect of what energy healing can do. And we will be right back. We're just going to be gone a minute and 10 seconds, so stay right where you are.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to BrushwoodMediaNetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and there is Rochelle dancing her shoulders right there. And how are you, Rochelle?
I'm doing amazing. I'm having so much fun, and I have so many questions, so I have to get this out, Sandra. We only have 30 minutes left, and I'm thinking there's no way. So we're going to have you back on the show another time so that we can have another conversation.
Exactly.
And then you and I can have a different conversation about your allergies sometime.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, you don't know the half of it, but I'll leave that for you and her to have a conversation. But, Rochelle, many, many, many years ago, back in 2003, when I was doing Positive Talk on KKNW, one of my best friends was a psychic medium. And I said, well, do you need to touch the person or do kinesiology on them, which is when you have an object of theirs that has their energy and you hold it and you can get a feeling from them. I know Sandra's going to correct me if I'm wrong, and so I asked her, I said, how do you do a reading with somebody who's not in the same room, or maybe just on the telephone, or maybe in a different country? How do you do that? And she says, she looked at me like I was, oh dear boy, it's just energy. And I said, but what do you mean it's just energy? How do you? It's like, we're all connected. It's just your energetic field that we can tap into your particular energy signal, and we can make these changes. And I was new at the time to holistic medicine or to energy work. And I was like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it works, doesn't it, Sandra?
It really does. It really, really does. And kinesiology is something different, having to do with the muscles and the all of this other kind of.
Oh, and what do they call it when you hold on to like a key ring or something like that, and you can read the person?
Yeah, that's like you're tuning into to their energy based on something, because you need a connection. It's like your telephone dial, so to speak. It's like you need something to connect. So, for example, like now that I know you, for example, or we've met. If you said, "Oh, Sandra, could you send me some Reiki?" I would tune into you and your energy, and then direct the energy towards you and try to feel into your, of course, with your permission. It's not like, you know, I would just randomly say, let me just go and do something. But actually, it's kind of like it's hard to explain if you haven't worked with it before. But I guess the way you could think of it is it's like a prayer, like a blessing that you're sending to somebody with intention, like you're just tapping into somebody's energy field. It's um like you don't even realize it, that sometimes when you're on a crowded bus and somebody gives you the one up and down, you're looking, they give you this look. That's energy. Like if it's a look that's sincere and they're like, oh, admiring you, you feel it. But if it's something like, what is she wearing or something, you also feel that. So energy is like it's something you can feel despite you actually touching it. Does that make sense?
It does. In fact, I want to run this by you and tell me what you think, because my son, who is a diesel mechanic, he knew the psychic medium way back when, and all the people that I've had on and stuff, and he said, "Oh, Dad, that's just nuts. That's just woo woo." And then he was listening to somebody else talk, and they were talking about a transducer. And it made sense to him for the first time, because as this person explained it, what a transducer does is it translates words into vibration and energy. And then there's another transducer at the other end that then translates it back from energy to words and thoughts. And if you think that I'm crazy, I want you to go out to your car and look for the wires that are connected to the radio station as you're driving around. And you will find that there aren't any wires, because you have a transducer in your radio and one at the radio station that sends the vibration to your radio and turns it back into music. Does that make sense to you, Sandra?
Well, I love a new word today, but it is similar to that. I love that your son made that sort of analogy of that connection, so to speak, because here we are talking in three different places in the world. We don't have a wire connected, like some ethers somehow we're connected. And it's the same thing with like energies, like you tune in to this sort of frequency or this sort of channel, and yeah, you direct the energy. Everything, as we said in the beginning, it is energy, and it's really truly learning to work with it. Like, and anybody can learn Reiki, and the more and more you practice it, the more and more you get skilled at sending it over here, or like it's something we do even unconsciously. When you walk into a room, you could feel if people are angry. It's an energy of anger, or you walk into a room and everybody's having a good old time, they're dancing and having fun, and you feel that it's a fun energy, it's a happy energy, like emotions are the energy that we were talking about earlier. And so we have to get used to that idea that everything truly is energy. And can I give you an example of like how energy, like how we can translate into a natural thing in nature, like a flower, and how it would
Yeah.
appear in us? So there's a flower called the windflower. and it grows in a bunch. Like it always grows in a little group of flowers. You never see one of these wind flowers. They're always in a bunch, and they move with the wind. So they're like moving. When the wind goes this way, it's going this way. It's always moving and changing. And it's so full of water that when you pluck it, it immediately dies. Like it doesn't survive without the group, and it's always moving with the group and going like constantly changing, and it's very watery. So what you would see in a person like this, for example, is a teenager who's going with the group, like has to be in a group, can't really stand by themselves, has to be with the popular group or this group or that group. And they're very weepy, like very watery symptoms. So that sort of translate the energy of this flower that could help, this remedy could help a child who's, and the other thing is like the physical symptoms, how the flower is completely moving, their symptoms are constantly moving too. So if you would say, oh, where does it hurt? Well, today my right knee hurts. Oh, but yesterday this hurt. And, so their symptoms are in the body also changing. It's not just, it's not constant. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Or is it kind of woo-woo?
No,
That's
that well, I'm sad. I'm not sad to say. I'm excited to say that we're a little woo-woo here, especially when we get to talk to someone like you. And as an example, one of the things that I love about Brachelle's presence is she has got this energy, and all of our guests talk to her and talk about her as in they can feel her energy and her vibration that emanates from her, especially when she's smiling and she's happy. She doesn't seem to be happy today, but anyway, that is
whatever.
that's better. See, and for those of you that are just watching, when people are smiling and they're having a wonderful conversation, it emits a different level of energy and vibration than when you're frowning and you're not very happy. So it's a whole different thing, and that's why when you smile a lot at somebody, even a stranger, you're giving them a whole different attitude about who you are as an individual and the kindness that you bring. And by the way, and I hate to interrupt this, but I want to do this for Samuel because he says, go ahead, Brachelle.
Samuel says, thanks, Brother Kevin and Sister Brachelle, for telling the world my story. And yes, I was a street boy. Through God, I am the one now restoring hope and enriching lives of children coming from humble families and street children's. It is God who saved me. For that, I changed the lives of needy children. Thanks, Positive Talk Radio, for giving me the opportunity to interact with different guests. Some send congratulations and motivational messages to my inbox. I would like to inform you, Brother Kevin and Sister. Yeah. And that's
Beautiful.
what we get to do. We get to reach those people. And, there was a point in Samuel's life where he decided, what can I do with this situation and who can I be from it? And as Kevin says, that people are like that with my energy, it's always been the opposite of that all my life, because I changed internally who I was. So now even the same relationships or the same people I have different relationships with because of the person that I am. Ever since I was little, I have a crease in my forehead right here down the center. And it almost looks like a scar because since I came out the womb, I've been mad. And then all of a sudden it just, I learned that it didn't have to be that way, and I didn't want to feel that. So it started within. And Sandra, you understand that to the fullest, I am guessing.
Yes, absolutely. It has to start within. I mean, even if it doesn't matter if you go to any kind of healer, like you have to make that first initial kind of connection and step to trying to heal yourself. I mean, we can't, it's not one healer doing it all. It's truly like connection to, the universe and working together. So I think that's beautiful.
Thank
in
you.
terms of, starting from within.
Yeah.
And
It's
making
hard.
that effort.
Well,
No, it's not.
and If you, Sandra, and I want to make sure that everybody's kind of clear about this. If you looked at the shows that Rochelle was doing with me a year ago and look at the show that she does with me today, she has changed. And so what that tells me is everyone, if you make that decision to change and you choose it for yourself, you can change in a positive way. That, by the way, and tell me if you agree with this, has a ripple effect in your family, in your friends, in everybody that you come in contact with because they sense something different about you, or they sense your energy level, which is now raising and your vibration is raising. And that's also healthier for you, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can see that. You're absolutely right. With if you change one person in the family, you change the whole family. The whole dynamic change. I mean, it's incredible.
And we have got proof of that because that is happening in Rochelle's family. And it's because of her, right?
Yeah, I guess it kind of feels that way. And it's not by me forcing things to change. It's just by me taking care of myself and teaching by example. And it is heavy. It is heavy to be that person, but it's like everybody who told me I was wrong and I was always the wild child of the family and, don't listen to Rochelle and she's always angry and she's just out of pocket. And now it's like, oh, let's go to Rochelle. Let's ask Rochelle. What does Rochelle think about this? And I get to do that with myself. And I want to mention that. I know we need to take a break, but I want to talk to you about intuition. And if your intuition tells you what you need and where your body and your brain are lacking.
And we need to take this quick break. It's just going to be 26 seconds. And by the way, Sandra, I want everybody to know that on the Brushwood Media Network, we also do a music show. And for me, music is energy and vibration, and positive energy and vibration can change your life, can change the world, especially as Rochelle has said, oh man, I was screaming going down the road listening to a particular song. So we do that, and here's a promo of it. Not every song changes you, but the right ones do. At Greatest Vibes Unplugged, we share music that hits deeper, no filters, no noise, just pure sound with soul. This is your reminder that light still exists, and sometimes it sings. And remember, you can look up in the sky and see the stars, but still not see the light. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle, and Sandra Quist is here. Sandra, I hope you're having a good time. Are you having a good time?
I am. Thank you so much for having me again. It's very fun. It's a nice, relaxed conversation.
It is awesome to have you here. Rochelle, repeat that question because it's an important one.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, but as you work on yourself, of course you do. As you work on yourself and your intuition grows, we're focused on a lot of the things our intuition is telling us from the outside. And I just realized that within myself. But does your intuition in other ways, your body and your mind, tell you what you need to heal?
Yes, when you listen. I mean, definitely when you listen. And I think your intuition is really, truly deepening more when you tap into your own senses. Like if you close your eyes, start noticing, what do you smell, or what do you hear, or what do you feel, and slowly you're doing that within. I feel a little grumble in my stomach, or I hear, and then you could start tapping into asking yourself a question, just with your eyes closed or something, and how does that feel? So if you ask yourself, oh, I would like to go, jump in a ice cold lake, and visualize yourself doing that, and how does that feel? And if you get fear all over, probably that's not the best thing for you. But if you get this really warm and fuzzy feeling, and it could be different for everybody. Some people might get, a bellyache, or some people might have tension somewhere. But when you start to tap into your own sensations in the body, then you start to be able to actually, like, your body is telling you this is not good for me, or this is good for me, or and that's actually why I think most people end up falling into this, feeling unwell, because they're not listening to their body, and intuitively our body is constantly talking to us and telling us what's good for it and what's not good for it. If we just don't pay attention, like, I'll have, a glass of wine, even though I know that my liver's wine. No, 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 no. We don't pay attention. Okay, I won't have the bottle. I'll just have one. It's just, those kinds of things. Like, instead of the whole bag of chips, you have like a small handful or something. Like, it's that we intuitively do know these things. We just don't pay attention. And the more and more we pay attention to our body and honor it, the more our intuition grows. So to answer your question, yes, your body will tell you that this feels good, and you will know, like, in your heart, this is a good decision, or, but you have to pay attention, and you have to treat your body properly, your body and your mind and your spirit, because your spirit lives in the body, in the physical body. Physical container needs to feel good and be flexible, and all of the things, because that's what health is. Every single thing we put into our body, but the people we surround ourselves with, what we do, how we move it, every single thing plays a part in how healthy we are and how intuitive we are. So it's all of those things combined.
Well, and thank you for relating it to senses, because that makes it easy for people to, we can all sit and think, okay, how do I feel? What does that look like? All those things. And it's crazy. I don't know if maybe we're connected, because I am a very open and empathic person. But right as you said, is your stomach trembling? And my stomach literally, like, if I wouldn't have had the mic I do, you probably would have heard it. So that was kind of cool. I just thought I would share that. That proves energy's real.
Exactly. But what we do, and to Sandra's point, what we tend to do is when we say, oh, I'm just going to have a glass of wine, and then we find the biggest glass that we can find that holds a whole bottle of wine. And I just had one glass. I don't know what you're talking about. That's how we tend to rationalize stuff and stuff. But Sandra, I want to mention this because I think that this is important as well. How do you feel about muscle testing? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Muscle testing. Yeah. And so my mother-in-law she also trained in kinesiology, and muscle testing is part of that. And really that's, again, like asking your body what it needs. And I really did, again, go back to that skepticism, because I also didn't believe it in my mother. Like, what? Why? How could you be, asking the body this and body that, and like, you should just use your, but actually, the body does know. Like, this is, again, the body's constantly healing itself, balancing itself. It's such an intelligent work of art, really, and we don't pay attention to it. But when you ask the body, and it also has to do with how healthy you are too, because if you're not, like, if the energy is not flowing and you're asking it, you're not going to get a really good reading or a really good answer. It's like everything else. So the ideal kinesiologist would put your body in balance and then muscle test, then ask, because then your energy is flowing, and then you can ask, is this vitamin good for me, or is this food good for me, or is it going to make me sick? And it's also important what question you ask, because you could say, can I eat this bag of chips? And of course you can eat it, but it's good for you, And if you ask the question, like, is this good for me, or will it make me sick, as opposed to, can I eat it? So it's all of these things that actually are pretty logical, but we just take them for granted, And I think that the best things are simple and logical and easy to implement.
I would love for you to tell me, because I've tried this. I do muscle testing, and I put my fingers together like this, and then if I can pull it apart, it's a no. If I can't pull it apart, it's a yes. I've tried to lie about it and to do something that, like should I take this, and I will try and hold my fingers together as hard as I can, but it doesn't work. They still break apart. And there's nothing it's like nothing I can do. It's like I asked myself this morning, should I be taking magnesium? And I can't, no matter how much I try, I cannot keep it together because apparently I shouldn't be taking magnesium. So, but that's my body telling me that. Is that correct?
Yes, and I mean, and you should also. So one thing I wanted to tell you about, like, yes, but I'll come back to that in a minute. But yes, I think the more you're doing it, for example, if you've been doing it for years and testing on yourself, like using the finger, then actually your body already knows and it's used to it, and you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself whenever you need to. Yeah, then okay, if your body's telling you this, follow what your body says. But going to these magnesiums and these mineral salts, one thing that I think is really helpful for people in general when they're not feeling well are tissue salts. Have you ever heard of these?
I haven't. Rochelle, have you?
No, not at all.
So they're like energy versions of electrolytes. So like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, all of these. So they're energy levels, energy medicines of these. And when you're talking about like, oh, I'm doing this with the magnesium. So for example, there is magnesium in an energy form. And if you take that, the best way for you to find out if your body really needs it, okay, you can muscle test. That's also positive. But if people are not used to muscle testing, if they take, these are in tiny little pills that are, they're lactose, but you can get them in different forms. But the lactose pills, when you put them in, if they melt really fast, it's like your body saying, yes, yes, give me more. And it melts really fast. And then if you take it for a week or two, some of them work really slow, so you need to take them longer. And some of them work really fast, so enough. But if they melt fast, then your body needs it. It's like your body saying, yes, give me more. But when it stays solid in your mouth, it's like, oh, I have enough, up low because I don't need it anymore right now, and you go through different phases that sometimes you need more magnesium than other times, most of the time. And so they're also numbered from 1 to 38, and the top 12 are the ones you need the most, and the number one is the one most of us need all the time, which is calcium fluoride, because that's into the tissues and the bones and the teeth, and even the tissues like transferring messages between the brain and the body. That's calc fluor, and that's the number one tissue that everybody needs all the time, and more so during different periods of your life.
Where can we get that?
You can get them online. I mean, Amazon has them, but most of the apothecaries carry them. Some of the places, because people don't know how to use them, you have to order them online because people don't know how to use, especially, I haven't found them in the US when I go in, unless I go into an apothecary. But they are online on Amazon. And here in the Netherlands, you can find them in the stores.
And what's it called again?
They're called Schuessler Tissue Salts because they're for the tissues in the body. And they are like energetic versions of electrolytes. And even some of these, like when I got COVID a few years ago, I was using this like every 15 minutes, taking, the 12 combination salt. And within 3 days, I tested negative. I mean, it's really, really good because if you think about it, it's like, when a woman is pregnant and the baby is taking, whatever minerals it needs in order to grow. So the mother has to take more to replenish the minerals that the baby's needing. It's the same thing with ill. If you have a cold or your body's fighting, whatever illness you might be having, then your body's constantly taking all of the minerals it has in reserves in order to get better. So you need to replenish it with these. So that's really a really nice, simple tool that people could use immediately. That you just go and, there's also, if you Google online, there's like little charts that'll tell you, which tissue salt is for what.
Perfect. So tissue salts. I remember that, Rochelle, in case I forget because I'm old.
I already searched it. I have it pulled up.
And Sandra, first of all, and I'd like to thank you very much for being here, and you're going to need to come back. And we've run out of time again. This happens every time we do a show, Rochelle.
I know I didn't even start talking on my other question, so we'll have to have you back. But thank you so much for
Absolutely.
your
I'd love to
time,
come back.
Sandra. I want to
Thank
give you the last few moments we have of ways that people can connect to you, your websites, all those fun things, and then anything you'd like to leave us with for a thought.
Actually, people can connect with me online through the Hague Natural Health Centre.com, or and I offer online consultations, but so does the nutritionist. But some of them obviously have to be in person. My personal website is sandradelgadoquist.com. And I really do enjoy teaching people some of these little tips. So I am having a little mini webinar. It's not so expensive, but it's in January, and people can learn about the tissue salts and which ones, like signs and symptoms that could help support you. Because I really, really, with all of my heart, believe that some of these simple tools can help so much, really. And they're easy, and they're not toxic, and they're very easy to use, and learn how to use them for yourself. I love teaching mothers how to use them for themselves and for their family, because it supports them in such a, they don't have to keep going to the doctor because it gets expensive, insurance and all of this stuff. So if you can learn to support yourself, I think that's the best way, forward, naturally.
Yes.
And I want to thank you again for being here, Sandra. And your website again is, if somebody wants to go there?
Oh, the Hague Natural Health Centre.com.
Perfect. And Rochelle, thank you so much. You've added so much.
Thank you both. Have a wonderful day.
We have to, and it's time for you to go have that glass of wine that's in the size of a glass, like half a gallon glass of wine. That would be, no, I'm kidding. But thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.